Today we're looking at Canto 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is which Shloka?
Chapter 19.
Chapter 19, which is entitled The Island of Jambudweep, and it is text 27. So we just do the one verse.
Yeah. Satyam dishatyarvitam arthito nrinam.
Satyam dishatyarvitam arthito nrinam.
Naivartado yat punar arhita yatta.
Naivartado yat punar arhita yatta.
Swayam vidate bhajatam anicchatam.
Swayam vidate bhajatam anicchatam.
Ichhabhidham nijabhagapallavam.
Ichhabhidham nijabhagapallavam.
Satyam dishati arhitam arhito rinam.
Satyam dishati arhito arhito rinam. Naivartado yat punar arhita yata. Swayam vidate bhajatam anicchatam.
Ichhabhidhanam nijapadapallavam.
Ichhabhidhanam nijapadapallavam. Satyam dishyate arthitam arhito rinam. Naivartado yat punar arhita yata.
Swayam vidhate bhajatam anicchatam.
Swayam vidate bhajatam anicchatam. Ichhabhidhanam nijapadapallavam.
Satyam dishati arthitam arthito rinam.
Satyam dishate arthitam arhito rinam.
Nevartado yat punar artitayata.
Nevartado yat punar arhita yata. Swayam vidate bhajatam anicchatam.
Ichhabhidhanam nijapadapallavam.
Ichhabhidhanam nijapadapallavam. निजपादपल्लवम्
सत्यं दिशते अर्थितं अर्थितो निनाम
सत्यं दिशते अर्थितं अर्थितो नृणाम्
नैवर्तितो यत् पुनरर्थिता यतः
नैवार्थितो यत् पुनरर्थिता यतः
स्वयं विदते भजतम् अनिञ्चताम्
स्वयं विदते भजाम् अनिच्छताम्
इच्छापिदनां निजापादपल्लवम्
इच्छापिदनं निजपादपल्लवम्
Thank you. Satyam.
Satyam.
Certainly.
Certainly.
Dishati.
Dishati.
He offers.
He offers.
Artitam.
Artitam.
The object prayed for.
Object prayed for.
Artitaha.
Artitaha.
Being prayed to.
Being prayed to.
Nrinam.
Nrinam.
By the human being.
By
the human beings.
Na.
Not.
Not. Eva.
Eva.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Artitaha.
Artitaha.
The bestower of benediction.
The
Bestower of benedictions.
Yat.
Yat.
Which. Oh, sorry. From which.
from which
Swayam.
Swayam.
Wait a minute. I skipped.
So-
Punaha.
Punaha.
Again.
Again.
Artita.
Artita.
Demand for benediction.
Demand for benediction.
Yataha.
Yataha.
From which.
From which.
Swayam.
Swayam.
Personally.
Personally.
Vidate.
Vidate.
He
He gives.
Bhajatam.
Bhajatam.
To those engaged in your service.
Unto those engaged in his service.
Ichatam.
Ichatam.
Although not desiring.
Although not desiring it.
Icha.
Vidanam
Which covers all desirable things.
Which covers all desirable things.
Nijapada Pallavam.
Nijapada Pallavam.
His own lotus feet.
His own lotus feet.
Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead fulfills the material desires of a devotee who approaches him with such motives. But he does not bestow benedictions upon the devotee that will cause him to demand more benedictions again. However, the Lord willingly gives the devotee shelter at his own lotus feet, even though such a person does not aspire for it, and that shelter satisfies all his desires. That is the Supreme Personality of Godhead's special mercy. Are you okay with that? Just do it. Okay, purport. Don't look at it. Hare Krishna. If you do, you will be more often. Okay. All right. The devotees mentioned in the previous verse approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead with material motives, but this verse explains how such devotees are saved from those desires. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10 Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udharati tivrena bhakti yogena yajeti purusham brahma. Whether one is free from all material desires, is full of material desires, or desires to become
One.
one with the Supreme, he should
Engage.
engage in devotional service. In this way, not only will the devotee's desires be
Farewell. But
but the day will come when he will have no other desire than to serve the lotus
feet.
feet of the Supreme
Lord.
One who
Engage.
engages in the service of the Lord with some motive is called sakama bhakta, and one who serves the Lord without any motive is called akama bhakta. Krishna is so merciful that he
Opens
turns,
jar.
rotates,
turns a sakama bhakta into a akama bhakta. A pure devotee, an akama bhakta, who has no
desire.
Material.
motive, this is desire,
Material.
satisfied, simply to serve the lotus feet of the Lord. This is confirmed in
Previous. Worse.
On the last one.
the PG
Bhagavad
Bhagavad
Gita.
Gita 6:22. Yam labdva chaparam labam manyavi nadikam tattah. If one
Engages.
in the service of the lotus
Feet.
of the
Supreme
Supreme
Lord.
Lord.
he does not want any
Thing.
more. This is the highest stage of devotional service. The Lord is so
Kind.
Kind.
high.
But
Parallel. Equal.
straight,
Steady.
Rhymes with Stephen.
Even.
even to a sakama bhakta, a motivated devotee, that he satisfies his desires in such a way that one day he becomes an akama bhakta. Dhruva Maharaj, for example, became a bhakta with the motive of getting a better kingdom than that of his father. But finally became an akama bhakta and said to the Lord, Swamin kritartosmi pranna yache. My dear Lord, I am very satisfied.
Please.
Please.
Rhymes with dimply.
Simply.
To serve your lotus feet. I do not want any material benefits. Sometimes it is found that a small
Child.
eats dirty things, but his parents take away the dirty things and offer mates and dish or some other sweetmeat. Devotees who aspire for material benefactions are compared to such children. The Lord is so
Kind.
that he takes away their material desires and gives them the highest benediction. Therefore, even for material motives, one should
Never.
not
Do
Worship.
worship any
One.
other than the Supreme Personality
T.
of Godhead. One must fully
Engage.
in the devotional service of the Lord,
So.
so that all his desires will be fulfilled,
Filled.
and at the
And.
end, he
places, rotate, return,
Jar.
Glass.
Can.
can. That at the end he can go
Back. To.
God.
home, back to God. This is explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22, 37 to 39, 41, as follows. Anyakami, a devotee may desire something
Think.
other than the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. Yaligare Krishna Bhajana. But if he engages in Lord Krishna's service, na maditeha kushtadare dena swachanara charana. Krishna gives him
Shelter.
under his lotus
Feet.
even though he does not aspire for it. Krishna Kahi, the Lord says, Ama Bhaje, he is engaged in my service. Mani Vishaya Sukha, but he wants the benefits of material sense.
Gratification.
Gratification. Amrita Chadi Vishwamage, such a devotee is like a person who asks for
Poison.
poison, thank you very much, instead of nectar. A Vada Murka, that is his foolishness. Amividya. But if I'm experienced, A Murki Vishyakini Viva. Why should I give such a foolish person the dirty things of material enjoyment? Swa Charanamurita. It would be better for me to give him
Shelter.
under my lotus feet. Vishya Bulava. I shall cause him to forget all material desires. Kama Lagi Krishna Bhaje. If one engages in the service of the Lord for
Sense
gratification.
Paya Krishna Rase, the result is that he ultimately gets a
Taste.
taste for serving the lotus
Feet.
of the Lord. Kama Chari Dasa. Haiti Haya Abhilasi. He then gives,
Up.
One up.
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 this is what, okay? This is up, okay? All material desires and wants to be,
returns,
Return.
he wants to be
Called. Welcome.
come, he wants to become an eternal servant of the Lord. Thank you very much. The can really threw everyone off. All right, Hare Krishna.
That was nice.
Did you like it? Open the door, pull it out, quickly open it.
No, he's talking about the other
to be a little more specific. We are really dealing with material desires that everyone has. How many people here have desires? How many people don't? You don't have any desires? You have lots of desires. Okay, okay. How many people have big desires? Big materials. Mega material. No, you're not. Okay, so you're being honest. Okay. How many people have desires for Krishna? Okay. There's names for people like you. Sakama Bhakta, for instance, it's oftentimes, labeled onto the demigods. They have desires. I want to be big, I want to be rich, I want to enjoy, I like to serve the Lord, but I'm into position and power. And this is oftentimes the case for the demigods. But akama means no desires, or let's say, put it this way, no material desires. We all come to Krishna consciousness with desires. In chapter 7 from the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord explains, Namam duskritinam mudha prabhadyante naradana maya aparitatyani asuram asita. You know what that means? Well, would you tell us what it means?
The four kinds of people who don't approach Krishna. So there's the Buddhas,
Buddhas,
foolish people, the Niradanas, the lowest of mankind, the Maya Parikanyas, those who aspire for, those who consider themselves a god, they have that kind. And then the asuras, the demonic people.
Okay, great, awesome. Beautiful. And then the following verse describes the Chatur Vijayajamimam Janasu Kritinorjana Artur Jignasur Artarati Jnani Cha Vartarshava. Four kinds of people that are inclined to surrender to Krishna. But they have motives. They do have motives. See, nobody comes to the door clean. When you go to the hospital, are you healthy? No. Nobody wants, who wants to go to the hospital, by the way? No. I would go to the hospital to see some devotees that might be a little bit in trouble, right? Or anybody for that matter. But we don't want to go to the hospital. It's full of diseases. And it's full of people who have diseases, full of people who come with some physical ailments, some major problems, right? So when we come to the temple, we come with some issues. And anyone who has issues has to grab for some issues. And they're, and devotees, people come, newcomers, they come with desires. I had a relationship, we broke off just yesterday, and I'm in trouble. I don't know how to deal with it. Or I got to pass the exam. Please, Krishna, help me out. I have an ailing grandmother or something like that. Please, Krishna, help. When I was in Ireland, I was walking by, there was a kind of a traffic jam. But well, it wasn't totally a jam, it was moving. But one woman, she pulled over and said, she just pulled over real fast. She was holding up the traffic. Excuse me, but she saw me as a monk. She said, "You're a priest, right?" I said, "Well, yes, I am." "Can you pray for my uncle? What's the problem?" "He's in the hospital. He's having surgery." "Pray for him." And then cars were honking behind her, so she had to go. And as she was going, she said, "What's his name?" Because if you're going to pray to Krishna, it's nice if you have someone's name that you're praying for, right? It makes it a little bit more personal. Yeah. So people are having all kinds of interests, and they come to God for help. Help! I need some money. Help! Not just any money. Help! I need some money. That's the Beatles song, by the way. I know I'm old. I can't do anything about it, okay? But I have an opinion. Everyone should know the Beatles songs. And if you don't agree with me, then we just agree to disagree. All right, help. Help, we all go for help. So there's 4 kinds of people that go for help. You know. So can anybody tell me what's the one kind of person who has some piety and they're asking for help? I need somebody. Help. Yes, Prabhu. You're Prabhu, aren't you?
Artha.
One. I just asked for one person.
Oh. Artha.
Artha.
Yes.
What does that mean?
I think distress.
Material.
Artha means you want some sense gratification. What is one person? Yeah.
Vijayendra. Vijayendra,
Oh, you're giving an example of something.
the distress.
Oh, the distress, okay, your answer was right, somebody who wants financial backing, you know? So that's 2 kinds of people. What else, what's another, a third type?
Wise people? Wise.
Which kind?
Wise people?
Lights? People? Well, we're talking about the people who are pious.
Oh, inquisitive.
Inquisitive, yes, that's another one, they're curious. Oh, what's this, what's that? Oh, I like those statues out there. Oh, I like the smell of incense, I like your food, you know? Your philosophy is so full of it, you know? And that kind of thing. Yes, please, you have another one? Oh, one of them.
One who is looking for knowledge.
One is looking for knowledge, we've covered the 4. Okay, let's take some examples of people who were, let's say, curious. Anybody curious? Mhm.
When I first came here, I was like, what's everything like?
Are we taking you as an example?
I mean,
I'm talking from the Shastras, anybody know?
Vidura.
Okay, you do, yes.
The stages at the forest in Nirvana.
The right. The sages in the Nishadana forest, they asked a lot of questions, right, in the first canto of the Bhagavatam. So they were very curious, they had lots of inquisitiveness, and they asked a lot of questions to the great sages at that time. So they are remembered for that, okay? Yes,
Vidura.
Vidura? Yeah, that's okay. I'm just taking examples from Nectar of Devotion. But that's okay. Vidura, he was curious. Yeah, he was pretty quite realized. So, in the beginning. What's an example of someone who is in distress? You want to tell us again? Gajendra, the elephant, everybody knows him.
Yeah.
He was a big bull elephant. He was having a good time with the Matajis. And they were spraying water on each other, and a crocodile came and caught his leg. And Prabhupada explains elephants are very powerful, but they're a little more weakened in the water because a crocodile thrives in the water. So there was a big struggle that went on for a long time, like years apparently. And then he was losing in the struggle and he was getting tired, and so he plucked a lotus flower, just like Arpan. This is your moment. Arpan plucked a water lily from the water yesterday and let us all have a smell at it, right? So the lotus flower was taken by the trunk of the elephant, Gajendra, and he held it up to the Lord. Please come and save me. You know? And so Krishna came down on the back of Garuda, saw what the problem was, and Krishna's always there to save the day for his devotee. So he released this chakra, and it cut from the head of the crocodile, from the head in between there and the arms. Decapitation for her. There's a lot of decapitation stories in her Vedic literatures. So he was then saved by the Lord. What's an example of someone who needed some wealth?
Dhruv Maharaj.
Through Maharaj, yes, that is given in the Bhagavatam, right? He wanted a kingdom that he could show off and say, I've got something that's everyone will envy and guarantee. He wants something bigger and more grand than Casanova. All right, and then we have an example of someone who was just in knowledge. You know, they were just wise, and they realized that it's just natural to serve the Lord. What's the example for that?
The four Kumaras.
Before tomorrow's. Is that what you said?
Priyavrata was also looking for Raja
Well, that's okay. We're taking the example this way in nectar devotion. Okay? It's not that it's wrong. That was the four Kumaras, right? You said that. You said that. Four Kumaras. So these were persons who were in meditation, and they were interested in Suyurja Mukti, liberation on the impersonal path. Oh yes, there we go.
It's got struck.
Beautiful. The four Kumaras were meditating, and when they were meditating, Vishnu was in their presence, and there was some tulsi leaves at his lotus feet. And just like we smelled the chamomile this morning, remember that? Those of you who went to the walk, we smelled some chamomile. It was so effortless. It was wonderful. Yeah. So they were meditating and they smelled tulsi leaves. Ooh, tulsi leaves is a member of the basil family, very strong. And they opened their eyes from their meditation. Sometimes a good idea if you want to see God. Open your eyes. And so they looked at, there was these massive feet, like beautiful feet, beautiful. I'm just reminded of one thing. We did the story of Kunti and Karna once, the drama. We called it the Queen's Secret. I think you know the Queen's Secret, the mantra that was given to her by Surya. So at the end, the last scene of the play, Kunti's now elderly, and we have her sort of dancing like the first time when she saw the sun coming in. She was dancing to George Harrison's music. Here comes the sun. And she did it so wonderfully. Now she's many more years her senior, and she's dancing, just like reenacting that thing. And she thinks she's all by herself. And then Krishna peeks over, and he's the nephew. And she suddenly sees that, oh, what are you doing? Sort of caught her in the act. And she was just thinking about the good old days when she was young. And, she met the sun god, and they had a child together. And then, at one point, she goes to touch Krishna's feet. And she comes down and he grabs her and says, no, you don't do this. You're my aunt, you're my superior. That's how Krishna is. He's God. But he actually follows protocol. Now this is all sort of artistic license, So after that, she looks down at him, down on the floor like, and he says, it's very touching. He says, what are you looking at? He said, I'm looking at your feet. They're strong, they're firm, they're handsome, whatever. And so she just enjoyed looking at his feet. So going back to the Kumaras, they looked at these firm feet, and they were in the lying position. From the feet came the calves, the knees, the thighs, the torso, the shoulders, the neck, and finally the face of the Lord. So the Kumaras they were wise people, wise men, boys. And now they had reached the highest level of God realization, which is Bhagavan realization. We're impersonalists, now they became devotees. Okay? So now, the following shloka from chapter 7, we talked about the 4 kinds of impious people, 4 kinds of pious people that do surrender to Krishna. The next shloka I want to read says, now of the 4 people who have some desires, the last one is the best. Why? Because one feels it's just, basically, it's automatic. God is great. We used to say this prayer of grace. God is great, God is good, let us thank him for our food. Amen. God is great. Kirtiraj, my god brother, he's a Polish background. He went beyond the Iron Curtain and got Prabhupada's books in there. So he's quite a hero. Here we are. That's definitely not here too much. Here too much. He's a little bit older now. And he was also responsible for personally meeting the Pope, Pope John Paul, was his name at the time. And he gave him a Bhagavad Gita. He said, oh yes, I know this book. It's a book about Krishna. Krishna is great. That's what he was saying. So Krishna is great. For sure he's great. We're convinced that he's great. And that's why we're here, because he's great. He did wonderful things. And of all the avatars, he's the one that took the time to give us jnana, like no one else. Sometimes we say, what happened to Ram? Why aren't you worshiping Ram? Well, we do. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You're worshiping Ram every day. But we give some special credits to Krishna. There's one argument I say, posed to them, said, listen, there is no one like Krishna who gave us the ABCs of spirituality. There's nobody who was like him. In fact, Bhagavad Gita means the song of God, God's song. And nobody did it like Krishna did for Arjuna. And that's why we're crazy about, nuts over Krishna, right? And for many other reasons why we like him. And we love everybody, all of his different manifestations, all his incarnations. So here we have Krishna and Arjuna, and we know that he's got his forearm form, and I guess we're supposed to, behind him, supposed to visualize that there's the universe over there out the roof as well, which is scary. Anybody like scary movies? Anybody? Who doesn't like scary movies? Okay, that's okay. But if you do like scary movies, it gives you a hype. So there's a rush, and you get scared. Have you ever gone camping? Like, now that many of you, the Canadian experience, you gotta go camping. You gotta get a tent. You gotta go into the wilderness. You have to experience camping. Otherwise, you're not a bona fide Canadian. So those of you who are trying to go for your PR, go camping, and I guarantee something's going to happen. That's next. So you got to go camping. All right. So why did I mention about camping? Well, it's scary. Everyone gets together at the campfire before you go to sleep, and you sing Kumbaya, Kumbaya, and the devotees sing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So that another famous one, raindrops keep falling on my head. So there's a few songs that people sing at the campfire, and you have vegan marshmallows. Has anybody ever had vegan marshmallows? Okay, so those are good to feel out of. That's what we should be having in August. Okay, so one thing is this is like pretty standard. When you're at the campfire, you have to tell some ghost stories, spooky stories, isn't it? I mean, that's just the way it is, And, so I don't want to deter anybody or scare anybody from going for a camping trip. But that's usually what it's done. But we can transition everything and talk about Krishna pastimes. I think that's a good way to go. I think it's really listening. Okay, so we did talk about those who are dear to Krishna, Priya. That word is in the 7th chapter, Priya. It pops up here and there. Who's dear to me? Somebody who is in knowledge of him. So that's why Prabhupada wanted us to get down and read the books. So there was something that happened here. I mean, we're going to have to write a book about the old days. And in the 70s, there was deep programming that went on. Do you know what that's all about? We had these, there's this one guy from the States, his name was Ted Patrick. They called him Black Lightning. And he was kidnapping our devotees. Yeah, but parents found out about it and said, I want my child back. You know, and so this happened to one girl, Linda Epstein. She's a Jewish girl from Toronto too. And her parents paid Ted Patrick to kidnap her, to deprogram her. It was kind of illegal. By the way, there's a very famous video with Sridhar Maharaj and this is the Balabanta from Atlanta on a TV talk show with Ted Patrick. And you should see it. It's just really quite wonderful. And so they're talking about this, and Sridhar Maharaj offers to say, yes, we know Mr. Ted Patrick. He spends half his life in jail, you know, like he was a thug. So, you know, respectable people were paying money to get their son or daughter back, you know, into their family because they thought they were brainwashed. Yeah, it was
How
really.
did it stop?
Pardon me?
How did it stop then?
Well, it became unpopular. I think parents just got wise, and we had to do our work. Our work was, this is not a cult. There's not brainwashing going on here. This is an old tradition. And because we always had the backup of our, you know, in those days we had a lot of Indian deliveries, right? But through the years, you know, we grew. And so people are coming in dressed like Hindus and dressed like Vaishnavas, you know, to these sessions, anti-cult group meetings and unity and all that, and say, this is not a cult. My ancestors, they're older than Judaism. It's older than Christianity. What are you talking about here? You know, it was, so we had that kind of help. But it was quite scary, you know, for us when we went through these things. Now, in one of the lines of our play, the Age of Madness goes, now where was I? Where was I? And why? Why did I bring up the thing about deprogramming? Just wondering. I trailed off a little bit. I went off track. But we are wrapping it up. I remember. I remember why I brought it up. Our GBC rep, Jagadish Prabhu, was talking to Prabhupada, and he said, Prabhupada, some of our devotees are being kidnapped. And Prabhupada said, that's why I need them to read my books. Because when you read the books, you become firmly entrenched in Krishna consciousness. Nothing can sway you. Nothing can swerve you. You know that word swerve? Detour you. Swerve. There's only two ways to live in this world. Serve the Lord or swerve the Lord. All right, so Prabhupada said, because if anyone gets kidnapped, and once they're firmly focused on our philosophy and that Krishna is the supreme, then nothing will brainwash them. Okay, tell you another cute story. Another one of our devotees was from Toronto. He went to Windsor University. The devotees used to go to Detroit, the nearest place. He joined the temple. His name was Anthony Ellis. His mother's Catholic, his father's Jewish. So the father had passed away. Probably if he was around it wouldn't happen. But his mother and sister paid $7,000, which would be about $20,000 now, to Ted Patrick to a deprogramming group. So what they did, it was at Rathayatra time. These two big guys took him and put him in a car, and they drove off to the Collingwood area. Oh, that's it. Yeah, you've got to see it.
Is this Kashish Prabhu?
No.
He looks like him.
Yeah, you'll have to look at this. And so Anthony Ellis, also known as Abai Charan, he was put into a room, a motel room, and there were people on this side and that side. And he was constantly, they attempted to brainwash him. So one point said, yeah, you're right, we played the game. So, what happened was, they were working on him, and they fell asleep. And he went to the washroom, pushed open the window, the screen door, and he only had his briefs on. It was in the night, and he ran for his life. He ran to the nearest telephone booth when they were popular, and he called his brother and trouble. Hey, you gotta get me. Dave, you gotta get me. They've been kidnapping me. They've been so and so he came and he brought him back to safety. But I mean, those were serious friends. Yeah, and they would try to force you to eat meat and things like that. That was kind of like torture, pretty illegal. And Linda Epstein, she was 18 or something, 18. And she was an adult, she could make her up her own mind. So anyways,
Is Linda Mother Lakshmi?
no, her name is Sri Brownie.
Okay, you got a letter or that said Linda. That's why I was curious.
Oh, maybe, Linda Epstein. So anyways, I'm just trying to tell you, if you want to get really fixed up in Krishna consciousness, you got to get familiar with the literature. You got to get familiar with the jnana, what Krishna's giving, It's not even what Prabhupada's giving, it's what Krishna, God is giving us this, so that we will have some strength, immunity against Maya. Hare Krishna. That's it. I will. Okay. Seals. We love seals. But the penguins,
I
don't we?
think Ryan did the best imitation of seal. Did you see him do that? I think seal doesn't do its own thing that man does.
He needs spiritual here, so should I read it?
Well, we're supposed to go, myself and Jennifer, we're going tomorrow to St. John, and we always walk in this park where they have seals.
Oh,
Yeah.
You can give him that knowledge.
Sure. Any questions or comments from us? We've discussed a lot of things, Anyways, we all come with different motives, but we're supposed to climb up, ascend into the level of understanding, not so much out of fear, but rise to understanding. Become wise, and then you're more firm in your Krishna consciousness. So therefore we recommend study, read, study together, help each other. Any questions or comments? Would you like to be kidnapped? Would you like to be kidnapped? I'm telling you, it was big news. It was national.
That's scary.
Some biggies. In fact, Pierre Burton, if you know him, Pierre Burton, is a famous Canadian author. He wrote a lot of historical books about Canada. And he was on a TV talk show. There was a bunch of other people. It was real big news. There was one girl, she was Protestant. I think she's an American girl. And she wanted to be a Catholic. And the parents were very upset. So they started to deprogram her. This was against her will. And so it became the latest news, hot news. And the story of Linda Epstein was really, really big in Canada especially. Yeah. And so Prabhupada told Jagadish, the TVC at the time, therefore I need my disciples to read my books and get very, let's say, strong in their Krishna consciousness, that nothing will waver them.
I didn't understand why is Prabhupada emphasizing on reading books when Linda was kidnapped. Like Linda was kidnapped, she didn't.
Well, because if they're trying to sway her, convince her, they believe she's brainwashed.
Was she
And-
brainwashed then?
Well, you know what happened? She kind of went along with the game. And then time went on, and one of the devotees saw her at the Yorkdale Mall. And, we're drowning. So when she ended up on her own, coming back to the temple, and then that was another wave of news. Now, I tell you, you know, most of you know, Bhakti, what's his name? Maybe one was the Yogi Bhakti, maybe go in this one. He's coming, right? So he was dressed up like a plumber. And he went to the house of the Epsteins to see if, you know, he could find Linda, his Rudrani. He said, I'll take you back. And then it was like a press report, a press conference, and it was at the Epstein's house. And then one of our devotees, she came as a reporter. Her name's Tribhuvaneshwari. She did some of the nice paintings. When you go up to Prabhupada's quarters, she did better than the originals. She was a wonderful lady. And her husband, Vichara, was still living, also fantastic man. And they both got dressed up like reporters, you know, just to have access to her.
Crazy.
Funny. I was just thinking like how much this movement has been through. It's still going on.
Oh, yes, we had, you can't believe the stories. That's why I was talking to Praharna the other day. No, I was talking to somebody, said we have to get the history down. We have to write a book about all the things we went through, like the ghost coming out of the book in the attic, haunting everybody.
What is this?
That was 187 Gerrard Street.
Oh, what was it?
It was a ghost, a disembodied being, and it was bothering devotees.
What was it?
Especially the women, because they were on the second floor. They were on the second, the men were on the third floor. And, yeah, devotees were seen. So then Tribhuvaneshwari, she had a sister, and she's what you call a white witch, you know? They do kind of like exorcism, you know, they find out where ghosts are, and they try to sort of trap them in a bottle or in a box, and then they dispose of them. You know, so she came and sort of fixed the problem.
Ooh.
Juicy.
Well,
Well, you know, I think we should get Praharna and Krishnadas. We should.
okay.
You have us come in, we'll tell you some stories.
Okay. During that,
Yeah.
it's just nice to know it helps you in having more faith in Islam or appreciating the practice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we got a lot of stories to tell, like police officer pushing me against the wall at Young and Bloor, just because I was there shipping books. There was a time police didn't understand this, but then we got in a group with them. Like the devotees did hard work to establish a, you know, with the police. The police are on our side. Now they see us as like a Mennonite or we're feisty. We're low maintenance people. You know? We don't have that many problems. We don't call the police very often. Once in a while, you get like a cookie person, somebody's off the rails, and then we have to call them. You know, 'cause in general, you know, we don't pose any problems because we don't take drugs. We don't drink. And a lot of the problems that happen socially in the world is because of the drugs. Dealing with the drugs, the taking the drugs. No, we don't do that, so, and I don't hear the F word around here. So it's a pretty clean place. Has anybody heard the F word here? Well, so I'm telling you, I make my point. It's like the spiritual world here. So if you want a juicy session, let us know. And we'll get, are you up for that idea?
Yes.
Yes,
Give
Maharaj.
us the juice. Yeah, we could do it in the Bhagavatam class time if you want. Or we can do it one evening. Divine dialogues is Oh, we have so many stories. I'm telling you.
Very curious.
Oh, what you go through, it's nothing. You know, we have things set up in such a way that you're very protected. But we had to struggle for our survival. We had to establish ourselves. We were just considered like evil in the public eye at one point. We looked like we were a sinister group, and thanks to the Indian community and theologians, professors of religion, they know all about us. Professor O'Connell, he helped us a lot. And his wife is still here, and his sons. We should invite them over sometime. We should actually bring them here and have a nice feast for them. Yeah, Professor O'Connell, he was a great, we have this quote,
Hmm.
you know, by the public washroom,
Oh
right?
yeah, in front of the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're at our expiry time. We're going to turn into a pumpkin shortly. No questions?